till now 25 students have joined. I will wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. Then I will start the class.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, in between the class, I have to admit them. Okay, so in last class, we have discussed about the Cartesian coordinate and cylindrical coordinate systems in details and their corresponding transformation from one coordinate system to another coordinate system. Now today, first of all, we will discuss about the spherical coordinate system and the related transformation from one to another coordinate system. After that, we will discuss about the basic of vector theories like divergence theorem, Carl, and the Stokes theorem. Okay, I am going to share my presentation. The screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's the problem. So it's trying to enter the class. So in a spherical coordinate system, we can define a point by these three parameters, that is r, theta, phi. The point is defined in terms of r, theta, and phi. So r is the distance from the origin of the coordinate system. Theta is the angle between the z-axis and the line joining the origin and the point corresponding point P. So this is the angle theta. And this phi is the angle between the x-axis and the projection of this particular line on the xy plane. On the xy plane means that is the plane where z equal to 0. So these are the three parameters by which we can define a point in a spherical coordinate system. First one is the r. R is the distance of this particular point from the origin of the coordinate system. Theta is the angle that is made by this particular line with the z-axis. And to determine the phi, you have to first consider the projection of this particular line on the xy plane, that is on the plane where z equal to 0. Then the angle between the x-axis and the projection of this line, that will define the angle phi. So these are the three parameters to define any point in a spherical coordinate system, r, theta, phi. Now, once again, we have to consider the incremental volume due to the increment in differential parameters for r, theta, and phi, and we have to find out the corresponding differential volume. So in that case, we have considered this is the incremental volume due to the differential increment in dr, d theta, and d phi. Considering the previous figure, so r is the increment along this direction, theta is the d theta is the angular increment, differential increment in the angular position d theta. So what will be that one? That will be r d theta. What about this one? That will be r sin theta d phi. So the volume, the incremental volume will be r d theta into r sin theta d phi into dr. That means r square sin theta d theta d phi and into dr. That will be the incremental volume. It will be more clear in the next figure. So this incremental volume is redrawn in this particular in an extended format. This is the dr. So it will be, as this angle is d theta, this particular angle is d theta, so it will be r d theta, this r d theta, and as this angle is r sin theta, so it will be r sin theta into d phi. Now if we consider this particular surface, the surface area will be r sin theta into, that is r sin theta d phi into your dr. So it becomes r sin theta dr d phi, and a theta is the corresponding unit vector. As we know, unit vector means that is the normal to the corresponding surface. So this is the direction of normal vector on this particular surface. So as we are considering the differential increment in dr, so dr is the distance between two radius, r d theta is the distance between two angles, that is theta. Here theta 1, if you consider that this is the theta 1, then it will be theta 2. Okay. Similarly, the distance between two radial planes at a phi, at angles phi, it will be r sin theta d phi. Volume that has been already mentioned in previous slide. So if you consider each and every surface, there will be three equal surfaces, 1, 2, and 3. So one by one, you can easily, from this particular figure, you can find out the corresponding differential area. For this particular surface, it will be r d theta into r sin theta d phi. For this surface, it will be r d theta into dr. And for this surface, it will be r sin theta dr d phi. Along with the, if you write down in vector form, then it will be a theta. A theta is the unit vector. And this is the corresponding increment in the length. Increment in corresponding dr is the direct increment in the length r. R d theta is the increment in the corresponding theta angle, and r sin theta d phi is the corresponding increment in the phi angle. Now from this figure it will be more clear. This is the d theta angle, this is the initial angle theta, this is phi angle, this is the incremental angle d phi. Okay. If we move to the previous slide, then it becomes r sin theta into d phi, because this particular angle is d phi, and if you actually this particular angle is d phi, if you consider any this one, that will be r sin theta, so in this one will be r sin theta into d phi. So these are the area, differential surface area along with the vector notation. DSR will be r cos sin theta d theta d phi. AR is the unit vector. Similarly, ds theta is the incremental area corresponding to theta. It will be r sin theta dr into d phi into a theta. A theta is the unit vector. And finally, ds phi will be r d theta into a phi. That is mentioned clearly in this particular figure. So as we are considering the AR means basically this particular surface, which is r sin theta d phi into r d theta. So what will be the direction of unit vector along this direction? That is AR. This one. Next, you consider the another surface. Another surface means that is this. Yes, this particular surface. This particular surface. So it is the due to the increment of the theta. So in that case, you have to consider the unit vector a theta. And what about the corresponding side of the surface area of the surface? That is r sin theta d phi. This particular surface is r sin theta d phi, and this particular distance is dr. That is mentioned r sin theta d phi dr, and that will be the direction of corresponding unit vector on this particular surface, that is a theta. So first this surface, then this surface, then the next one is this particular surface. That is due to the increment in the phi. So one side is obviously the one side is dr, one particular side is dr, and this is the another side, that is r d theta. So this is r d theta, this is dr, and that will be the direction of corresponding unit vector, that is a phi. So for each and every surface, you have to consider the unit vector properly. It will be helpful to find out the cross product between the a theta f dot ar or a theta dot a phi in that way. So it is better to make clear about the orientation of the unit vector for each and every surface. So in this particular figure, this is the generalized figure to combine all the coordinate system, that is Cartesian, cylindrical, and your last one is the spherical one. So in Cartesian, we represent it by P of x, that is x, y, z. In spherical, we are presenting it by r theta phi. In cylindrical, we are presenting it by rho phi z. So this is the line that is joining the corresponding point from the center of the coordinate system. So it is r. Now, if it is your rho, that is the projection of this particular line, so it is r, rho. So rho becomes r sin theta. Rho equal to r sin theta. Similarly, you can also write down that z equal to what will be z? Z equal to r cos theta. Z equal to r cos theta. What about x? X equal to rho cos phi. From this particular figure, you can easily write down that what will be x? X equal to rho cos phi. Now, in this equation, you can put the value of rho equal to r sin theta. So x becomes r sin theta into cos phi. So if you consider the transition from Cartesian to spherical, then x will be r sin theta into cos phi. If you consider transition from Cartesian to cylindrical, then you can write it x equal to rho cos phi in that way. Similarly, from this particular pictorial representation, you can write it y equal to rho sin phi. Now rho means, we have already found out that from this figure, rho equal to r sin theta. So y becomes r sin theta into sin phi. So from this particular generalized figure, you can easily write down the relation between xyz to r theta phi and rho phi z. Now in this case, as we have already discussed the transition from Cartesian to cylindrical, so in that case we are going to discuss only about the transition from Cartesian to spherical coordinate system. So as I have mentioned that what will be the value of x? X equal to rho cos phi. Rho means r sin theta, so it becomes r sin theta into cos phi. What will be y? Y equal to rho sin phi. Now in place of rho, we have to put r sin theta, so it becomes r sin theta sin phi. What about the z? Z equal to from this figure easily you can find out z equal to r cos theta. So in that way, by this particular equation, the variable of Cartesian and spherical coordinate systems are related. So you can write down what will be r. R will be root of x square plus y square plus z square. What will be theta? Theta equal to tan inverse of root of x square plus y square by z, and that will be the phi. Phi equal to tan inverse y by x. So these are the relation between the variable of Cartesian and spherical coordinate systems. In practice, you don't need to memorize it. Rather, if you can draw this particular figure properly, mark the corresponding theta, phi, r, rho properly, then you can easily find out the relation between the variables of Cartesian to spherical, Cartesian to cylindrical easily. Okay. Now, if you consider the dot product between the unit vector, as we have already discussed the unit vector for three different planes. In one plane it is AR, in another plane it is A theta, and another plane is A phi. So obviously for the dot product of the same unit vector will be always but we got A theta, AR dot A theta, AR dot A theta. I think they are perpendicular with each other. Similarly, perpendicular then it is 90, so it becomes 0. Now if you consider the cross product between AR and A theta, AR and A theta, or if you call A theta and A phi, it will indicate towards AR, and the cross product of A phi and AR, it will indicate towards the A theta. So these all are mentioned in terms of spherical coordinate systems. So these are the equations by which we can consider the transmission or transformation from Cartesian to spherical. So AR will be equal to AX of sine theta cos phi plus AY of sine theta sine phi plus AZ cos theta. Then A theta will be AX of cos theta cos phi plus AY of cos theta sine phi minus AZ sine theta, and A phi will be minus of AX sine phi plus AY sine phi. If you write down it in a matrix form, that will be the matrix, and using this matrix you can easily convert Cartesian to spherical coordinate system. This is the inverse. In this equation, AR, A theta and A phi, these are the in terms of Cartesian. So Cartesians are written, Cartesian coordinate parameters are written in terms of, spherical coordinate parameters are written in terms of Cartesian coordinate system, and that is the reverse one. AX, AY and AZ, these are written in terms of AR, A theta and A phi. So these two matrix or these two set of equations are important to find out or to transform from Cartesian to spherical or from spherical to Cartesian. Now, is there any doubt regarding the basic discussion on the spherical coordinate system? Then with this basic discussion, we will first consider one simple example of this one. Try to realize this particular problem. You have to find out the area of this particular strip that is marked with blue color. This is particularly a section of sphere, and its radius is 3 centimeters. So you need to find out the area of this particular strip. The angular difference, that is theta, for the top surface it is 30 degree, for the lower surface it is 60 degree. So the angular values are given, radius value is given. Now you have to find out the area of this particular strip. Any idea how can we find out this one? We are already familiar with the differential areas. We have to find out the area. This is nothing but the differential or incremental area due to change in this theta. So we have to apply this one, DSR. The equation of DSR is already discussed, depending on the basic figure of related to the Cartesian coordinate system, where DSR equal to r square sine theta, d theta, d phi, and AR is the unit vector. So to find out SR, it becomes simply the r square sine theta. Theta is from 30 degree to 60 degree. Next d theta, d phi. The phi is obviously the 0 to 2 pi because it is a sphere, this is not a circle. So phi is 0 to 2 pi. Now if you calculate it, it will be around this one. So with the basic knowledge of spherical coordinate system, we can easily find out this kind of differential surface area. Next, we will consider another example, that is we have to transform this particular field. Field is given g vector equal to xz by y ax, and we have to transform it into spherical coordinate. So first we have to, basically this field we have to convert it into, or we have to transform it into spherical coordinate system. So gr means the vector g dot ar. What is the g vector? G vector is given xz by y ax. So we have to consider the dot product between this ax and ar. What will be the cross product of ax and ar? How can you find out this one, ax dot ar? See, as per this equation, as per this solution, this ax dot ar means sine theta cos phi. How can you find out this ax dot ar? Anyone? See, you have to find out, you have to put three things. One is the ax dot ar. Another, you have to put the value of x, z and y in terms of Cartesian coordinate system. In terms of Cartesian coordinate system, what is x, what is y, what is z, we have already discussed. Now, so I am moving back. You can find out the ax dot ar from this equation or this equation also. Ax dot ar means it will only sine theta into cos phi. In this equation, if you dot product on both sides by ar dot ar, that is ax dot ar dot ar becomes 1, and all other parameter, that is a theta dot ar, a phi dot ar becomes 0. So it will be only sine theta into cos phi. So it becomes ax dot ar becomes sine theta into cos phi. Okay, and other things about x, y, and z. G equal to xz by y, most probably xz by y. So x equal to r sine theta into cos phi, z equal to r cos theta, y equal to r sine theta sin phi. You have to put all these things. to solve this particular example. So ax dot ar becomes sin theta into cos phi. You put the value of x, z and y and simplify it. It will be converted into these particular equations. Next, you have to find out g theta. So g theta equal to g dot a theta. Once again, sorry, that will be ax dot a theta. So once again, in the equation of ax, if you apply the dot on both sides by the a theta, ax dot a theta, you will find out that it will be x theta into cos phi. Ax dot a theta, all other terms will become 0, only it will be cos theta into cos phi. Sorry. It will be into cos theta into cos phi. The value of xz by y already calculated in previous equations. So similarly, what will be g phi? G dot a phi. That means in that case, you have to consider the ax dot a phi. Ax dot a phi, similarly, you can find into Cartesian form. So to convert into Cartesian format, we have to find out this ax, ay, and az. What will be ax? Ax will be a dot ax. Same process that we have applied in the previous case. A dot ax. Now in this equation, if you put the equation of A is given in terms of cylindrical coordinate system. So it becomes this one. Now one by one, you have to find out this dot product between a rho dot ax, a phi dot ax, and az dot ax. Now instead of remembering all those equations, if you can draw the corresponding unit vector ax, ay. This is the a rho and this is the a phi. To draw these particular unit vectors, you must consider the basic figures of Cartesian as well as cylindrical coordinate systems. Then only you can draw these particular unit vectors properly. Now, if you can draw these unit vectors properly, then you can easily find out all these dot products very easily. Okay. So what will be the a rho dot ax This is the corresponding vector rho in the cylindrical coordinate system. This is the angle phi. This angle is also phi. This is 90 degree. That is means a phi and a rho is 90 degree. So a rho dot ax, a rho dot ax, it becomes cos phi. Next, we need to find out a phi dot ax, a phi. This is your a phi. This is your ax. So the angle between them is, whatever the angle, you have to write it, a phi dot ax equal to cos theta. So the total angle is pi by 2 plus phi. So it becomes minus sin phi. Next one is the az dot ax. What will be az dot ax? The az is not shown here because it is the perpendicular to this particular plane. So the angle between az and ax is 90 degree. So it becomes 0. So now you can easily write down the equation of ax in terms of Cartesian coordinate system. So it is equal to a rho of cos phi minus a phi of sin phi. Same way you can write down the ay equal to the main vector in cylindrical coordinate system dot ay. So if you simplify it, you have to basically find out the dot product between a phi and a rho and ay, a phi and ay, and az into ay. Now once again, from this figure you can easily find out it. A rho dot ay, a rho dot ay, this one. This is 90 degree minus phi. It is 90 degree minus phi, so it will be sin phi. Next one is the phi dot ay, a phi dot ay, a phi dot ay, a phi dot ay. So it will be, it is also the phi angle phi. It is also the angle phi. So it is becomes a phi of cos phi. And this az dot ay, it is 0. So ay becomes this one. And what about az? As we know, in case of from the relation of Cartesian and cylindrical coordinate system, az equal to az or z equal to z. As the z equal to z, so az becomes az. So in that way, you can easily convert the cylindrical into Cartesian coordinate system by applying this process. Finally, the vector for the Cartesian coordinate systems, what will be a dash? A dash equal to ax into ax. X is the unit vector. Uy is the unit vector, and az is the unit vector. So you can put it into the matrix form. This is basically the relation we have established or we have seen at the time of discussion of transformation from cylindrical to Cartesian coordinate systems. I think we have mentioned this particular matrix during the transformation from cylindrical to Cartesian coordinate system. So from this example, it has been found that ax dot a rho is cos phi, ax dot a phi is minus sin phi, ay dot a rho is sin phi, and ay dot a rho is cos phi. So these examples are more helpful to realize the transformation from one coordinate system to another coordinate systems. If we just discuss what is cylindrical coordinate system, what is spherical, and what is Cartesian, it will not be it will not fulfill your purpose. You have to go through the examples properly to realize the transformation from one coordinate system to another coordinate system. Next, we will consider another example. a particular point is given in a Cartesian coordinate system. P equal to the point is given, that is -2, 6, 3. That means x equal to -2, y equal to 6, and z equal to 3. And the corresponding vector is given. Vector is y of ax plus x plus z ay. That means this vector corresponding to this point is given in Cartesian coordinate system. Now you have to evaluate all those things one by one. First, you have to find out the point P in cylindrical coordinate system. So before starting to solve the problem, you have to first consider from which coordinate system to which coordinate system you are going to transform. So in that case, you have to consider the transformation from Cartesian to cylindrical. So as per the given point, x equal to -2, y equal to 6, z equal to 3. So we know the transformation from Cartesian to cylindrical. Cylindrical means rho phi z. Cylindrical means rho phi z, where rho equal to root of x square plus y square. So rho becomes 6.3. You have to find out the point P. That means point P in cylindrical coordinate system. P, how we represent the P? P equal to that is equal to rho phi and z. So 1 by 1, we know the rho equal to x square plus y square. XL value is given, y value is given, so it is 6.32. Then what is phi? Phi equal to tan inverse y by x. Y is given, x is given. So phi, you can easily calculate the phi, and z is equal to z. So z equal to 3. So what will be the corresponding coordinate point in terms of cylindrical coordinate system? That is 6.32, 108.43 degree, 3. Next, come to the second. Vector A at point P in Cartesian coordinate systems. That means now you have to consider Cartesian. So vector A at point P in Cartesian coordinate system. There is no need to transformation. Just you have to write down the vector A at point P in the Cartesian coordinate system. কি হবে? Vector A is already given in Cartesian coordinate system.
6ax plus ay.
Correct. 6. You have to just put the value of x, y, and z in this equation of vector, because this vector equation is itself given in Cartesian coordinate system. So it will be 6ax, x equal to -2 plus 3ay. So this is the solution of second part. 6ax minus 2 plus 3ay, that is the vector at point P in the Cartesian coordinate system. Next, point number 3. Vector A in cylindrical coordinate system. Vector A in cylindrical coordinate system. That means from Cartesian to cylindrical. Cartesian to cylindrical. We have directly used this transformation matrix. A means A row into the unit vector A row. Next, plus A phi plus into the unit vector A phi plus AZZ. So we are using directly the transformation matrix. Now, what about this AX and AY? How can you find out this AX and AY? AX and AY.
AX is 6 and AY is 1. In Cartesian.
No, actually, you are correct, but we are not using the value. Rather, we will use directly these equations. From this equation, what will be AX? This is basically the
Plus AZ.
AX into AX plus AY into the unit vector AY plus AZ into the unit vector AZ. So as per this equation, what will be the value of AZ? देखो इक्वेशन থেকে AZ এর ভ্যালু কত হবে?
Sir, 0. 0.
ঠিক আছে, what will be AY? AY will be
X plus
plus Z.
X plus Z.
What will be
X
AX?
plus Z.
AX will be Y.
Y.
That is
Y.
mentioned in the solution. Okay. So AX equal to Y, AY equal to X plus Z, and AZ equal to 0. Okay. So A5 and AZ. Next on the the problem is not solved completely yet, because you have to completely convert it into cylindrical form. So that means now you have to replace this all X, Y, Z, because the cylindrical coordinate means there will be only rho phi Z. So still now in these equations X, Y are present. So now you have to replace this all X, Y, Z. And from the relation we know X equal to cos phi, Y equal to rho sin phi, and Z equal to Z. This is the transformation equation from Cartesian to cylindrical. So in the previous equation, if you put X equal to rho cos phi, Y equal to rho sin phi, and Z equal to Z, then the equations of the vector becomes or converted completely into cylindrical form. So that is how you can solve the question number 3. Next question number 4 means vector A. Now the same vector, this vector, you have to find out this vector at point P. That means what you have to do?
We have to put the value of -2, 6, and 3 in that equation.
No, you have to directly put this value. P equal to, you have already find out. P equal to 6.38. That is the rho. That is phi. That is Z. So you can directly put these values. This is the equation of the corresponding vector in cylindrical form. Now you will put the value of rho, phi, and Z. Then if you solve that one, then that will give you the vector at point P. This is the general vector equation corresponding to point P. Now when you are putting the value of corresponding coordinate point P, that is rho phi Z, in this equation, it will give you the vector at point P in the cylindrical coordinate system. So now in this equation you have to simply put the value of rho phi and Z. That has been done. Rho phi, once again it is sin phi, and this is the Z. So by solving this, if you can check it, I did not check it yet. You can check it. It will be around this. So these simple examples are very important to understand the transformation of vectors, is transformation of one coordinate to another coordinate system. Now if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I will share the presentation at the end of this class, because in last class I did not share it because this particular portion was left due to the time issue. So today I will share this particular presentation.
So,
So 1 minute. So till now we have.
so could you explain the second last example?
Second last example. For this particular example point problem.
The one with the diagram.
Oh,
No. So before one, example number 8. This one. Sorry, yes.
This one. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start with the problem. A vector is given in cylindrical coordinate system. Vector is given in cylindrical coordinate system, that is a rho, a phi, a z. Now you have to convert it into
Yes, sir.
Cartesian. That means all these a rho, a phi, and a z, you have to convert it into ax, ay, and az. Now, first point is that how we can find out the ax. Ax means simply if we dot product between a and ax, the vector a and the unit vector ax, it will give you the ax. So that is done. Vector a is written in cylindrical form. It is dotted with the unit vector ax. So simply a rho, a phi, these are common factor out of the bracket. So it becomes simply a rho dot f ax, a phi dot ax, a z dot ax. You have to now find out these three dot products either using the equations or using the figures. So in that case, for the simplicity, we have used the figure. That is, we draw all the unit vectors as per our basic discussion. As we know, this is the ax unit vector, this is the ay unit vector, this is the a rho, and this is a phi. I think your problem is at this particular point. Am I correct? After that, it
Yes,
is
sir.
very
Yes, sir.
now to understand this one, it is better to go to the cylindrical coordinate system. Okay, I'm moving to the cylindrical coordinate system. Yeah, in this particular figure, this is your unit vector a rho, this is your unit vector a phi. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
this is your rho. This is your rho. Now you just draw the corresponding x and y vector. That will be your ay, and that will be your ax. Right? Is there any doubt regarding the unit vector ax
Yes,
and
sir.
ay?
Yes, sir.
So just simply that thing has been
Yes, sir.
redrawn. Okay. Simply this thing has been redrawn in the at
Yes,
the time of solving the problem. Now,
Okay,
you
sir.
see that the az is always perpendicular with all these unit vectors. Az is always perpendicular with all these vectors. And the angle between ax and ay 90 degree.
Yes,
The
sir.
angle between a rho and a phi is 90 degree. Now we move to the problem. Otherwise, you have to remember the equations. I think it is better to go with this.
So via the equations, we just have to do dot product with them, and the other component will just vanish.
Yeah. Will vanish.
And yes, sir.
But in that case, you have to remember the equations, na? So now I think it is
Yes,
the
sir.
more simplest way. So next, simply a rho dot ax. You just consider the angle between a rho and ax. What is the angle between these two? Is phi, only phi. So it becomes cos phi. Next on, you have to find out a phi dot ax. So first you have to identify a phi. This is your a phi. This is your ax. So the angle between a phi and ax is pi by 2 plus phi. So it becomes cos pi by 2 plus
Yes,
phi.
sir, 90
Cos
degree
pi by
plus
2
phi.
plus phi means minus sin phi. And what about AZ?
Minus
AZ is angle between
it's
AZ and
180
AX is 90 degree. So it becomes 0. So in same way,
Yes, sir.
this is,
Yes, sir.
so up to this we have calculated AX. Next you have to find out AY. AY means A dot AY. So with the vector A, you find out the dot product of AY. That means you have to find out A rho dot AY, A phi dot AY, and AZ dot AY. Same again from this figure, you can easily find out that A rho and A phi. A rho AY, A rho and AY, A rho and AY. This is 90 degree minus phi. What about this angle? This is 90 minus phi. So it will be plus sin phi. Next, A phi dot AY. A phi. Where is A phi? This is A phi dot AY. This angle is also phi. So it will be cos phi. And AZ dot A phi, obviously it will be 0. Clear? Is there any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
then
you, sir. No, sir.
so till now we have discussed about the 3 coordinate systems and their transformation during this last class and this today's class. Now it's only 1 hour, not 1 hour, only 50 minutes. So I wish to start the next section. That is is there any problem from your side if I start the next section? Okay, thank you. So I'm moving to my next presentation.
Sir, last class you have given us some homework regarding the vector part.
Yes,
So,
I think, but
like,
slide, I did not share the slide.
sir, I have, uh, yes, sir, I have
Okay.
the problem,
Have you
sir.
solved it?
Yes, sir, I just need to discuss the answers, like whether it's correct or not.
Okay, at the end of the class, I will try to discuss it. Okay. Let's start with the
Okay,
next
okay, sir.
presentation.
Thank you, sir.
So the next part, we are going to discuss about the gradient of scalar field, divergence of the vector, and the curl of the vector, and the related divergence theorem and Stokes theorem. Okay, which are very essential to find out the electric field potential at some point, at some arbitrary point in the space. So let's start with the gradient of scalar field. What do you mean by gradient of scalar field? Anyone from your side? Just in simple way, what do you mean by the gradient of scalar field? I think you know all those things, but you're not trying to interact with me anyway. So let's start with the basic. Suppose we are considering a cuboidal structure. This is the point P1, this is the point P2. That means with this cuboidal structure, we are considering the incremental volume, and all these are presented in Cartesian coordinate system. Sorry, not Cartesian. Yes, that is represented in Cartesian coordinate system. And the incremental length are dx, dy, and dz. So suppose at point P1, the temperature is T1. Okay, T1 is the temperature at point P1. Now at point P2, the temperature is T2. So at point, if you compare the point P1 and P2, the incremental length is x plus dx. So it means dx, dy, and dz. These are the incremental length. So due to these differential distances dx, dy, and dz, the differential distance vector. What will be the differential distance vector? DL. We can write down the expression of equation for DL, that is the differential distance vector, equal to dx ax dy ay plus dz az, where ax, ay and az are the unit vectors along x, y and z axis respectively. Now if we consider the definition of differential calculus from the basic knowledge of differential calculus, how we can write the differential temperature? There is d of t. D of t means simply the difference between the two temperatures, T2 minus T1. So we can write down this one in that particular form, that is del T del x into dx, del T del y into dy, del T del z into dz. That is from the basic differential calculus. Now we know that how we can find out this dx. Just consider the previous equation. How we can find out dx? We can find out this dx by dotting this dl vector with ax. Dx equal to dl dot ax, dy equal to dl dot ay, and dz equal to dl dot az. So the previous expression can be written down in that particular form. Now all things are the same. The differential temperature dt equal to del T by del x. Only the dx has been replaced by ax dot dl, dy is replaced by ay dot dl, and dz is replaced by ay az dot dl. Now if we just come on this particular dl terms, differential length vector, then this equation we can rewrite in this particular form, that is del T del x into the corresponding unit vector, del T del y into the corresponding unit vector, del T del z into the corresponding unit vector. Now this part within this bracket, it is called the gradient. So this one is representing the change in temperature del 2, for which that is corresponding to the vector change in position, that is del L. So del T, sorry, dt is representing the change in temperature due to the change in position of dl. And this particular vector within bracket, is called the gradient of scalar. Now in Cartesian coordinate system, so this is the representation in Cartesian coordinate system as I mentioned earlier. So this particular part within the bracket, it is represented by this del T. This operator del, that is also known as the gradient operator. So this particular operator del, it is called the del or gradient operator. So del T becomes dt dl, that means del T del x ax plus del T del y ay plus del T del z az. So in that way, the gradient of a scalar, it becomes a vector. Is it clear? So this is the representation of a del operator or the gradient operator, that is the differential increment in the temperature due to the differential change in the position. Now along with the along with the Cartesian coordinate system, so the previous one, it is representing the gradient operator in Cartesian coordinate system. You can write, I have also mentioned the corresponding del operator in the cylindrical coordinate and spherical coordinate systems, because it will be helpful to deal with the different problems. Now with this basic discussion, the gradient of scalar quantity, some scalar quantity. So simply, if we consider the Cartesian coordinate system, it will be del del x, del del y, del del z of the corresponding scalar quantity, okay, into the corresponding unit vector ax, ay, and az. So to solve this particular example, you have to find out this gradient of these scalars. One is v equal to e to the power minus z sine 2x cos 8y, u equal to r square z cos 2 phi, w equal to r sine square theta cos phi. So depending on this problem, you have to consider either Cartesian del operator in Cartesian form, del operator in cylindrical form, and del operator in spherical form. Clear? So to solve the first one, we are using the Cartesian coordinate. Grad v, that means del v del x, del v del y, del v del z, v is given, then you can easily find out the or solve it. Next one is the method to solve with the cylindrical coordinate systems, that is del u del r ar, del u 1 by r, del u del phi, and del u del z as z. So you use the value of corresponding rho phi z. There is no theta. There is no theta. That's why we are applying the cylindrical coordinate system for the second one. Okay. Next one, in the value of w, theta is present, phi is present, r is capital R is also there. So it is better to go with the consider the spherical coordinate, that is the gradient grad of w, that is dw del w del r ar 1 by r dw d theta a theta 1 by r sine theta del w del phi a phi. If you solve it, you can find out it easily. So the question is why this gradient of scalar field is important to related with the electric field or EM waves. With the help of this operator, we can easily find out the differential change in some parameter, in some scalar quantity. That may be temperature, that may be potential. Okay, so this del operator or the gradient operator is very useful to find out the differential change in some scalar quantity. Now we are moving to the divergence of a vector field. Divergence of a vector field means it basically represents the net outward power flow from a unit volume. Net outward power flow from a unit volume. For example, this figure we are considering this finally small volume at point P. All the arrows are towards outside. That means you can consider this as the point P as the source. So this is the example of positive divergence. That means if you consider the field vector is radiating, that means in that case divergence of F will be negative. Next, we are considering another case. So in that case, this point, we are considering small volume, infinitely small volume at point P. All the power are incoming into this particular volume. So you can consider this is the situation like the sink. So it is the case of source. This is the case of sink. All the all the powers are entering into the finitely small volume. So this is the case of negative divergence. And this is the example of zero divergence. Whatever power is entering into this particular infinitely small volume, same amount is leaving the corresponding unit volume. So with the help of divergence, we can find out the outward power flow from a unit volume. Okay. That is mentioned that divergence of A at a given point P is basically the net outward flux or the power flow per unit volume. So divergence of a vector field, so it is written in this form, that is divergence of A, that is the del operator dot A, that is it is called the divergence of A. So it is basically the limit divergence tends to del V tends to 0. That means we are considering the infinitely small volume. The net outward power flow or net outward flux, that is A dot ds over the entire surface area divided by the per unit volume. So that is the mathematical representation of the divergence of a vector. So the question is what is this particular one? A dot dx. How we can find out this one? To understand this particular point, if we consider once again we are considering it in a Cartesian coordinate system. We are considering is cuboidal. In the mid of this cuboidal, we are considering the point P, and the corresponding incremental length are dx, dy, and dz. So if we consider this particular small volume, where volume tends to 0, del V tends to 0. So there are basically the 6 surfaces for this cuboidal, 6 surfaces. And out of these 6 surfaces, these two are equal. Similarly, this top and bottom are equal. This side and this side is equal. So out of these 6 surfaces, there are basically 3 surfaces. Other 3 are the replica of the previous one. So to find out this A dot ds, we need to apply the surface integral for each and every surface. If we consider this is the front side, this is the right side, this is one side, this is another side. So in that way, the area of the front side, back side, left, right, top, and bottom. So this is the overall area of the surface. Integral area of the surface. Similarly, if we consider enclosed volume by surface V, the volume V is enclosed by this closed surface S. 1 minute. So in that case, we have represented in terms of Cartesian coordinate system, and we have considered a cuboidal structure, and in that case, it is the volume is represented that is enclosed by a closed surface, and we have considered a simple cylindrical structure. Now, as the divergence of A, we can write down in that particular form: del of X, del X, del Y, del Z, del Z. This is in the Cartesian coordinate system. Then in case of cylindrical coordinate system, this divergence of the vector can be written in this particular form: 1 by r del r of r a r. That means AR, Phi, Az you have to consider. And for spherical coordinate systems, you have to consider AR, A theta, and A phi. So these are the 3 expressions of divergence of a vector A in Cartesian, in cylindrical, and spherical coordinate system. So for example, if we consider this particular point charge, a point charge is considered which is enclosed in this particular volume. Point charge is Q. N is the unit vector to this particular surface of this unit volume. So what will be the total flux of the electric field due to this Q? Total flux means we have to consider the surface integral of the electric field that is induced by this charge Q. So the total flux will be E dot ds. Now net outward flux per unit volume, that is representing the divergence of E. How we can find out that one? So that is the divergence of E. Divergence of E you can write down in that particular form: del Ex by del X, del Ey by del Y, del Z del Z. Now you have to consider the different phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4, and this is the outward flux due to the electric field. So you have to consider all the surfaces to find out the outward flux. That means all the surface means this is nothing but E dot ds. Now one example is considered like the previous case. P, Q and W are given. From the equation you can easily identify for which one you have to apply which coordinate system to find out the divergence of the vector. Vector P is, that is in terms of Ax and Az. So obviously you have to divergence equation in Cartesian coordinate format. This is AR Fi Az. That means for this Q vector you have to apply the divergence equation in cylindrical form, and W equal to this one, that is AR A theta A phi. That means obviously for these equations you have to apply the divergence equation in spherical coordinate systems. So simply you have to apply the corresponding equations and you can easily find out the divergence of vector P, divergence of vector Q and divergence of, just you have to apply the corresponding equations. Del X, del Y, del Z for the corresponding vector Px, Py and Pz. What will be Px? What will be Px? Anyone from your side? What will be Px? How you can find out the Px?
X square YZ.
Px means, actually if you write it in general form, it is nothing but Px Ax plus Py Ay plus Pz Az. Okay, so Px Ax means this is your Px x square yz, because you can find out Px by P dot Ax. P dot Ax korle it will be x square yz. So it is x square yz. What about the Py? In this general form, Ay is not there.
So it's
Py
0.
is 0. And what about Pz? You can find out Pz by applying dot Az. So Pz equal to xz. Then you calculate it, it will be 2xyz plus x. Similarly, next you have to find out the divergence of the vector Q using the cylindrical coordinate systems. And then for the next one, you have to find out the divergence of vector W applying the spherical coordinate system. I'm not going to the calculation in details. I think you will be able to check it and you will be able to understand the solutions. So with this basic discussion of divergence of the vector, next we are moving to the divergence theorem. So it basically states that total outward flux of a vector field E at the closed surface S, that will be same as the volume integral of the divergence of E. That means the total outward flux of a vector field E that is enclosed by a closed surface S, that will be same with the volume integral of the divergence of E. So mathematically it becomes E dot ds by this surface integral of E dot ds. You can find out the total outward flux due to the vector field E that is closed by a surface, enclosed in a surface S, that will be equal to the volume integral of the divergence of E. It is better to represent a bracket, first bracket at this point. Divergence of E dV. So divergence of E, that is stands for the divergence of vector E that we have discussed earlier. So the divergence theorem states that total outward flux of a vector field at any closed surface. How we can find out the outward flux? That is the surface integral of the corresponding vector field by the corresponding surface, that will be equal to the volume integral of divergence of E. Now the example is considered. The vector field is given D equal to RQAR that exists in the region between two concentric cylindrical surfaces, where the two cylindrical surfaces are defined by R equal to 1 and R equal to 2. With both cylinders extending from Z equal to 0 to 5. That means we are considering the enclosed surface. The surface is enclosed by two cylindrical structure. Radius of one cylinder is 1, radius of another cylinder is 2. But the height of both cylinder is extended from 0 to 5. Now you have to verify the divergence theorem for this particular vector field. Vector field is only along the AR, RQAR. It is given in cylindrical coordinate form, RQAR. So first you will find out the D dot ds. The solution for this particular example is, I think, incomplete one. You can consider it as your homework. So for each and every surface, you have to consider the inner surface, outer surface, bottom surface, and the top surface of a cylinder. For the outer surface, phi becomes 0 to 2 pi. Outer means R equal to 2. R equal to 2. And Z is extended from 0 to 5. So you can find out this D outer in that way. Now this solution is left at this particular point. You will try to solve it and to find out the mistakes or problems in this particular solution. I'm leaving it as the homework for your homework. Now I'm moving to the another one, that is the curl of a vector field. What do you mean by the curl of a vector field? It is basically the rotational vector, and the magnitude of this one can be defined by the maximum circulation of the corresponding vector per unit area. So we need the curl of to find out the curl of any vector for rotational vector, or to represent it in an axial vector of the rotational vector. Now, what about the curl direction? It is mainly the normal direction of the area. when we find out the curl from x to y, the curling will be directed to the normal of the corresponding surface. X, Y, Z. Okay. So in that case, we have considered this figure in Cartesian coordinate systems. This is y-axis, this is z-axis. So the increment is dy, this increment is dz. Now if you consider the circulation of a vector b around this closed path is defined by a, b, c and d, then you can write down this, that is the line integral b dot dl. The vector b around this closed path, so you have to consider if you start from this point, so then you have to integrate from a to b, then from b to c, then from c to d, and then from d to a. So it's the rotational vector, it is representing the circular motion to cover a particular closed path or closed volume or closed contour. That means we can represent the curl B equal to limit del S, that is the closed surface by the contour that is tending to 0, 1 by del S, and the line integral of b dot dl, and it will be maximum. And what about this n cap? N cap is the unit vector to this particular closed surface. Okay, so curl B means that is we are considering the rotational vector, we are considering the circulation of a vector around the closed contour that can be represented by the line integral of the corresponding vector around a closed path. For example, A to B, from B to C, C to D, and D to A. The path must be closed. That is important. And for this one, it will be the circulation will be maximum. So that's why it has been considered the maximum value. So 1 by del S, so line integral of b dot dl into n cap. N cap is the unit vector along to the corresponding closed surface. So what is the significance of using this curl? This curl is basically used to measure the uniformity of a field. In the uniform field, if you consider the circulation will be 0. For example, if you consider a uniform field like that one, and if you consider the curl of the corresponding vector over a closed path, it will be 0. That is A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A, it will be 0. But that is not true in case of non-uniform field like the azimuthal distribution. So curl is used to measure the uniformity of a field. If the field is uniform, then the curl will be, or the circulation will be 0. So in case of non-uniform field, for example, this azimuthal field, the circulation will not be 0. We are considering a current carrying conductor. Due to this current carrying conductor, we are considering the magnetic field distribution, which is not uniform because it is varying from with respect to the distance from this current carrying conductor. Now, if you consider the circulation of the corresponding vector, it will not be 0. These 2 points is very important. If you find out that means by using the curl of a vector, you are finding out the circulation of the corresponding vector or rotational vector representation. So if the corresponding field is uniform, then it will be 0. If it is not uniform, then it will not be 0. Now just some vector equations are presented. You're familiar with these equations? Now, like the gradient operator and the divergence of a vector. In this case also we have represented the curl of the vector in three different coordinate systems. So considering the problem, you have to accordingly choose the corresponding equations, whether it is Cartesian, whether it is cylindrical or spherical coordinate. So this is the equation of curl A or curl of a vector, that is del Ax del x, that is written from the basic equations. From these basic equations is represented in the matrix format. This is the curl of a vector in cylindrical coordinate system, and this is the curl of a vector in spherical coordinate systems. Considering the problem, you have to choose any one to solve the corresponding problem. Same set of equations are for three vectors p, q, and w are taken. Now you have to find out the curl for these three vectors. So obviously for the first one you have to apply the Cartesian, you have to choose the Cartesian equations. For the second one you have to choose the cylindrical equation, and for the last one you have to use the spherical equations. So using the equations, you can find out this del pz, del of pz by del y, del of py by del z. Del z. So first find out what is pz and py. From this equation, pz equal to 0, py equal to xz. Okay. Pz equal to 0. Then py equal to xz. Then how it becomes 0? Huh? Anyone from your side?
So there is no z y term in the AZ.
So py. Oh, sorry, py is not there. Okay. It's my mistake that I have considered py as xz. This pz is equal to xz. There is no y terms, so it becomes 0. Correct. Next, pz equal to xz, and px equal to x square yz. So accordingly, if you solve it, you should check all these calculations. Okay, you should check all these calculations. So similarly, for the second one, you have to use the cylindrical coordinate equations, and you have to solve it. Next one, you have to solve using the spherical coordinate equations. I'm not going to discuss the calculation part. You should check it. So this basic knowledge on gradient operator, divergence of a vector, and the curl of the vector. Next, we are moving to the Stokes theorem, because we are already familiar with the divergence theorem. So now we can move to the Stokes theorem. It basically converts the surface integral of the curl of a vector over an open surface into a line integral. So it's basically with the help of Stokes theorem, you can convert the surface integral into the line integral. Now surface integral of a vector over a closed contour C, we can write down in that way, curl B dot ds, this is the surface integral, and that is the line integral. So curl B dot ds equal to line integral over the closed contour C, that is B dot dl. Now this type of conversion from surface to line integral that are very useful for the derivation of different types of electrolytic equations. So this particular theorem is very useful. So better to understand this particular theorem more clearly with some example. If we consider a vector field that is given by this one, z cap is the unit vector, cos phi by r. Now we have to verify the Stokes theorem for a segment of the cylindrical surface. For this particular surface, segment of the cylindrical surface, where r equal to 2, z equal to 3, height of the cylinder is 3, and the phi, that is angle is pi by 3 and pi by 2. Angle is pi by 3 and pi by 2. So basically you find out this curl B dot ds and B dot dl. So first you start with this left hand side. You find out the curl B, and the figure is in a cylindrical coordinate system. It is better to, you have to apply the curl equation in cylindrical format, in cylindrical coordinate format. So that is the curl B equations. Now you have to integrate this curl B over the specified surface S with r equal to 2. There are d phi dz. So integration over d phi and dz, z limit is 0 to 3 and phi is from pi by 3 to pi by 2. If you solve it, it will be around this minus 3 by 4. You will check it. Next, about the right hand part. Now the right hand part means the definition of the line integral. We know that we will consider the closed contour AB, BC, CD and DA. So that is the vector B, field vector B from A to B, from B to C and C to D in that way. That is, you have to consider the closed path. Now at different segments, first of all you have to find out the corresponding BAB, BCD, BBC and BDA. Then if you apply the integral equation, that is B dot dl, it will be minus 3 by 4. Now BAB, how can you find out this BAB? A to B, B to C, C to D and D to A. So you have to first consider this BAB. D is equal to Z cap cos phi r, cos phi by r. So on this particular surface, BAB will be 0 and BBC will be cos pi by 2 by 2. You will check it, okay? And similarly BDA, that will be Z cap by 4. Now this is also then another important parameter, or you can say the operator, that is the Laplacian operator, Laplacian of a scalar quantity V. that is known as the Laplacian operator Z square V. That is, you can write down in form of Cartesian coordinate system. That is the grad of divergence of grad V. So if you find out the dot product between these two, you can easily write down this equation in del 2 del x square V, del 2 del y square V, del 2 del z square V. So Laplacian operator is also important to find out the potentials of the due to the electric fields. Now this is just simple equations del 2v del x square, del 2v del y square, and del 2v del z square. If the corresponding scalar quantity is given, you have to find out the corresponding Laplacian operator or Laplacian. So for the following scalars, you need to find out the Laplacians. V equal to e to the power minus z sine 2x. These are u equal to rho square z cos 2 phi, and this one. So 1 by 1. Okay, you will check the equation calculations. Now the Laplacian of scalar quantity we have discussed, that is Z square V. Now we have to consider the Laplacian of a vector quantity. For a vector, when it is given in a Cartesian coordinate system in this particular form, x cap, y cap, and z cap, the Laplacian of the vector you can write down in this particular form, that is Z square equal to del 2 del x square, del 2 del y square, del 2 del z square. By the at the outside there will be the vector. So you can write down in this particular form. So ultimately it becomes ex, ey, ez. These are the vectors. Sorry, scalar quantity ex, ey, and ez. So in Cartesian coordinate system, the Laplacian of a vector is a vector whose components are equal to the Laplacians of a vector components. So through direct substitution, we can simplify it as these equations. That is the Z square equal to divergence of this one minus curl of. I think you are familiar with these equations. So these are the basic overview regarding the gradient operator, or you can see the del operator. Then we have discussed about the divergence of scalar quantity. Then we have discussed about the curl of the vector. Then one by one we have discussed about the Stokes theorem, divergence theorem, and Laplacian of a scalar quantity and the Laplacian of a vector quantity. And we have also considered some associated examples or problems. So that's all about from my end. Now my request is to all of you, you should go through the each and every examples thoroughly. Okay, you should check the calculations, because I did not check the calculations. Discussion, you can ask me. Otherwise, someone was telling me that he want to discuss about the previous homework.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me.
Sir, I just want to check the answers, that's all, like whether it's correct or not.
No, I did not solve the problem. The method.
Okay, sir, on the next class, then if you
methods you are following, that is important. Whether you are following the correct method, that that is important to check. So at the end of the solution, the answer may be wrong due to your calculation error. But the methods which you are following, that is important. If you are following the correct method, then it's okay.
Okay, sir.
So I will share these two presentations.